the last thing we're going to do is just pull this texture map into the FXTree for some further touch-ups. If I draw a render tree right now, we can see how the map fits on the character. I'm going to switch layouts to the compositor, and I'm going to pull in the texture map as a paint clip. The paint clip allows us to paint directly on any image or sequence we bring in. I'll edit the paint clip and point it to the high-res clothing render map, and I will hit V to view the render map. And right away I'm given access to a paintbrush. I can paint anywhere on this clip, and I can output that clip to a file. We do that by using a file output node. We connect the input of the file input node to the output the output of the file input node to the input of the file output node, and I just point it to a new file. So I could call this one again, if I look in the render pictures, I'll call it prisoner number. Again, I'll just call it color map prison shirt. Again, I could save that as a TGA file. Press OK. Again, I'm only rendering a single frame of it, and so I'll sort of leave this ready here to render this file. But first, I'm going to go and actually paint on this this shirt here. I can edit to get into a paint mode, and one of the first things I'm going to do is use some of the effects brushes on the left side here. I'll start by using the clone brush, and I can start by actually holding down Alt. Oh, actually, sorry, that's a color brush. The clone brush, this is what I want. So I'm going to hold down Alt by picking an area that I want to paint, and then clicking to kind of define that area there. So I get something like that very quickly. Then what I can actually do is just switch to one of these other brushes. So maybe I'll use kind of a mid brush here and pick a very dark color. I'll go into the color selector and pick almost like a black color. That looks pretty good. And then I'll use the open and close brackets to size my brush down and give this guy a prisoner number. So let's go and just do something like that. He's prisoner number 4. Okay, that looks pretty good there. That's all I really need to do. And do something like that. Okay, maybe I can go in and blend it in a little bit better. I could go and use some of the smudge tools perhaps. If I go and look at maybe doing a little bit of a rub on this, we could kind of noise it up a little bit. You might want to also go and add kind of some dusty scratches over top. If we go into our tools, we can even go into some of our brush properties and control the opacity. So we could even go into our eraser and do like a nice fat eraser, take it down to a low opacity, and maybe do a little bit of smudging. Say something like that. There we go. Just want to do some very fine smudging here. Just kind of blend this in as good as I can. Okay, something like that should work out pretty well. There's a few problems here with the collar, so maybe what I can do is use a bit of maybe a color brush. Kind of just pick some colors. If I just hold down Alt, I can pick a color and then paint that color. So I'm just going to paint in some random brush strokes. Again, here I can color that in solid. There we go, something like that. We can watch out for any seam areas and kind of paint those out as well too. So maybe I'll even just take the color brush here, hit B, and just use Alt, and just kind of try and paint out any obvious lines that you might see. There we go, something like that there. Looks pretty good. Everything else is fine. In the back, we just have to deal with this kind of overlap here. So I'll just do an Alt color paint. Again, it's camouflage, so it just kind of works. Okay, so that's working well there. Let's fill this out. I can actually start using maybe a bit of a clone brush here. I'll pick my cloning area, let's say right here, and then I'll just start painting all this area out. I'll do another clone over on the other side here. Get that area working. Get some randomness in there. And then just color across the lines. Alt, just to select a color, and to paint that color in. Break up the spine. Same up top here. I'm not sure I want so much of this black color, so again I'll just kind of focus on getting that to look a bit more camo-y. Paint out some of these lines. And almost done here. If I had my Wacom, this would be much easier. I'm on my 64-bit machine, and my Wacom is an old model, and I just haven't had a chance to upgrade it to the new 64-bit. Alright, so there's a little bit of a problem here. Okay, so this should take care of any seams in our map. I was a little bit hasty there. I was actually painting with a color from the other side. So I'll take this map now, and I'll export it to the file that I specified. So just to double check, render pictures, color map, prison shirt. I'll render that file. Done. And just to verify that it works, I'll switch back into the default layout. It won't have applied itself to the character because I have to update the render tree. I'll select the shirt and update the render tree, and I'll point the shirt, the image node, to the updated shirt that I've cleaned up. So I'll point it to the, again, modify date. Let's see, where is that file? Render pictures folder. There it is, color map prison shirt. And let's have a look at the final result. So we get the texture map applied as it's been edited and modified. And of course everything now looks pretty good. You probably won't even be able to see the back. I'll just go in and drop in a quick point light. You can see we've painted out all the seam problems that we had before. So very useful tools, Vertex Paint, Render Map, the FXTree, they all kind of work together, and you can paint some very quick textures that way. So the last part of this project involves taking all that we've learned here now and applying it in a final render. So let's take the final rendered point cache along with the texture map and put everything together. I've got my operators sitting down here in the modeling stack at the moment, and so I'm going to want them to be more permanent, so I'll actually just drag them up into one of the higher stacks, and this will allow me to actually freeze my texture projection operator without getting rid of these important animation operators. So I can freeze the modeling stack now, and the mixer op and Cyflex cloth operator stay intact. And remember, of course, the Cyflex operator is not activated. The mixer, on the other hand, though, is. So all the changes that I've made to my shirt should now propagate through to the animation as well. So I'm going to render this off, and the end of this project we'll have a look at our final rendered image.